that are on the other side of the river, stick with me. I'm going to cover emergency management in the state of Illinois, and then also emergency management in Madison County. Emergency management, no matter where you go in the country, the idea is the same because we all fall under FEMA, and they all have guidelines for us. Once you get into a specific state, yeah, that state has certain requirements. Once you get into a certain county, that county has certain requirements. So like I said, today I'm going to overview emergency management in the state of Illinois, based on the 5 phases of emergency management, which comes from FEMA. But then I'm also going to get into Madison County stuff, let you guys know what we have available to us, and also what you guys can bring back to your home agency if you're not a part of an emergency manager program. Go back and bring that to you. Find out who your emergency manager is. Bring that back to them, and let's get something started in your county. So, EMA, Illinois Emergency Management. Those that don't know at all what emergency management does, a better prepared state. We talk about the 5 phases, and we'll get into those. But the mission, state of Illinois, through integrated approaches to emergency management and homeland security. So Alicia Tate-Nadeau, who is EMA's director, is also the homeland security advisor for the governor. EMA coordinates the state's disaster mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery programs, and they operate a 24-hour SEOC, State Emergency Operations Center. 24-hour communication center, which is hooked into the SEOC. I know a couple guys here that have been to the SEOC. There are 2 guys from ILEAS back there. Anybody else been to the SEOC or seen the SEOC in Springfield? Okay. Disaster and emergency management, going back to ESDA, going back to civil defense, it's always been disaster stuff, right? We think of natural disaster. Well, that world's changing now. We're getting into cyber stuff that we're seeing now on a daily basis. You guys can be impacted by that. Ham radio operators can be impacted by that. So yeah, we do cover that natural stuff. For us in Madison County, our biggest thing is flood that we deal with. Getting ready to deal with it here probably in the next couple months. There's that SEOC, for those that haven't seen it in Springfield. How EOCs in the state of Illinois work, especially from the county level going up to the state level, is they are mission-based. So you can see some of the pictures here. In the picture, you can see OSFM, which is Office of the State Fire Marshal. You can see MAVIS, Mutual Aid Box Alarm System. Implement, ILEAS is seated there. So those are all mutual aid partners for emergency management. Then in the middle circle is state agencies. Just like what we have in the county, I'm going to have in our EOC, our auditor's office is going to be in there, our purchasing department is going to be in there. When we're standing up our EOC, we need all those people that can buy stuff, pay bills, and make sure we're doing stuff legally through our state's attorney's office. So that's what we mean by mission-based. And I'll get into a little bit of that a little bit further down. What is emergency management? The science of managing complex systems and multidisciplinary personnel to address emergencies and disasters across all hazards and through the phases of mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. I'm not going to read to you. You guys can all read. But think about that for a little bit. What is that? So it's the science of managing complex systems. So that's what emergency management does. We are that overseeing manager of the whole system. Yeah, we might have a big downtown fire, and fire departments handle it. They're putting out water. But what are we thinking about as emergency managers is what's the next step? How do we get that apartment building or that downtown business back up and running? What can we do to financially help them? Where can I get help? What about if anybody's displaced? Am I contacting the Red Cross? We're that manager that oversees. We're sitting at 10,000, 30,000 feet, making sure everything's going to run smoothly. So those mission areas that we spoke about, prevention, protection, mitigation, response, and recovery. A lot of us, including myself, live in that response phase. And that's what we want to do. No, we don't want a disaster to happen, but that's what we want to do. That's what you guys want to do, and that's why you guys want to help. You guys want to be involved, you want to help us out, and we'll get into ways that you guys can help us. But that's where we want to live. But we got to remember, that's only one of those 5 phases of what emergency management does. So prevention. Mission area comprises of capabilities necessary to avoid, prevent, or stop a threatened or actual act of terrorism, focus on ensuring we are optimally prepared to prevent an imminent terrorist attack through the United States. Prevention right now, and this is straight from EMA, prevention right now is big-time terrorist stuff. That's the hot topic, right? It's probably going to shift to that cybersecurity stuff too. But right now, that's the hot topic. So, core capabilities. FEMA has published, so this is the same no matter what side of the river you're on here. FEMA has published 32 core capabilities. Emergency management, we must test those core capabilities through exercises. Be it just a tabletop discussion, kind of like we're having here, and you guys will be all different agencies or disciplines, through a functional exercise where, yeah, we're sitting here, we're talking, we might move a couple pieces of equipment, and then obviously into a full-scale exercise. And that's where we're moving a lot of equipment, we're moving people, and we're testing all of these core capabilities. Protection. This is the newest one. Protection framework houses the capabilities necessary to secure the homeland against acts of terrorism. So again, protection. This is, like I said, this is the newest phase. It used to be the 4. It wasn't the 5 phases. It was the 4. Anybody? I can't think what they called it. It wasn't 4 phases, but it was something else.
Emergency management continuum.
Continuum. I like it.
That's what
Thank you. So those core capabilities, I'm going to go back here to prevention. You're seeing, what, 7 core capabilities here. Protection being that newest one, they're throwing a lot in here. And let's look at some of those core capabilities. Yeah, we see planning, public information and warning, operational coordination, but now we're getting into cybersecurity, intelligence and information sharing. You guys are helping us on that. Interdiction and disruption, screening, search and detection, and supply chain integrity and security. So we're talking more, like I said, on that protection side of things. And it's not a response phase. Protection is not response. Protection is making sure that we have the stuff in-house, in our toolbox, that we're able to protect our homeland. Mitigation. So we're still in this phase in Madison County, in the state of Illinois, in the state of Missouri. They're still in this phase from last year's spring flooding, right? Really bad spring flooding. FYI, 2020 spring flooding is going to be probably even worse than 2019, what we're looking at. We are still in long-term vulnerability reduction. We're still in long-term recovery here. Taylorville, Illinois had a tornado on December 1st, 2018. They're still in recovery phase. They're still rebuilding that town. Mitigation is that cycle that lasts forever. Right now in Madison County, we are working on our hazard mitigation plan. It's due for a 5-year update as mandated by FEMA. So we have called all of our local jurisdictions in to say, what have you been impacted by, disaster-wise, man-made or natural, in the last 5 years? And what can FEMA do to help? Because there is money available from FEMA for mitigation efforts. So if it's rebuilding a road, if it's raising a road, installing bigger culverts, that's mitigation efforts. Response. I'm not going to cover this. We know what response is. We all know that. Look at all the core capabilities under response. There's probably 2/3 to 80% of them, 90% of the core capabilities. Response. It's what we do. You guys know that. You guys are familiar with that. And then recovery. So yeah, we're still in this. The difference in mitigation and this recovery, mitigation is those efforts that we can do to stop the next disaster from being worse than it was, or as worse as it was. Recovery is rebuilding. So that's those physical things where we're saying, hey, this building got toppled in a tornado. How are we going to rebuild it? We're going to rebuild it the same as it was, which is most likely what FEMA is going to pay for if they are going to pay for it. They will return it to pre-disaster condition. They're not going to pay to make it better, thanks to them. It'll just happen again. But anyway. That's recovery. Recovery is that rebuilding phase. Training. And I apologize if I'm going too fast. I'm trying to catch up. You guys do training. Bob Evans is our Madison County's Aries EC. You guys do training once a week?
Met once a week and 2 or 3 drills a year.
So you guys do training on a regular basis. We do training. Cops do training. Firefighters do training. EMS does training. Everybody does training. We don't know what that is, but we've got to do that. For emergency management, are we busy every day doing a response? No, don't want to be. That's what we're doing. So Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, when we're sitting in the office, we're doing training. Testing. So exercise activities. Homeland Security Exercise Evaluation Program, which is HC. FEMA has a ton of acronyms just like everybody does. They have determined the best way for us to do exercises. So if you are involved in an exercise with a government agency, they should be doing it to HC standards. If they're not, I'm not saying that they're doing it a bad job or a bad way, but they need to be following those guidelines. It makes it a lot easier to follow. It ensures everybody has got things done correctly. No, we probably don't have sound, do we? No, it's just gonna play. No.
Your sound's turned off.
Yeah, but that's gonna play through here. If I would hook into that, I would probably have it, but we'll skip that. So that's a video. I'm gonna, let's see if I can go back. Spare time, get on YouTube. Emergency management, just Google or search emergency management, who we are and what we do. This is a video out of New York. It's about 4 minutes. So I won't waste our time today. Obviously it won't play anyway. You need to have sound. But it is a great overview of what is emergency management in the big picture. Big picture. Questions, comments, concerns, overview, state of Illinois, state of Missouri, emergency management. Anybody got any questions? Oh, come on. Nothing? Yes, sir.
I'm assuming every county is required to have emergency management?
Yes, by law, every county must have a person identified as the emergency manager. Because they are required to do certain things, from developing an emergency operations plan to there is federal money out there, emergency management performance grants, money quarterly to operate that emergency management program. It pays back 50% for day-to-day activities. Because of the state mandates that we have them, this is actually a funded discipline. Most state mandates are unfunded. This one is funded. But yeah, so every county must have someone identified as that emergency manager. Yours is Tim Schrader.
So you guys, do you have a EOC center here?
In Madison County, yes. Ours is in Wood River.
And do you have amateur radio operators in the EOC center? Okay.
Yep, and we'll get into that.
Okay.
Yep. So let's talk Madison County. For those that aren't, I don't want to apologize. Just follow along. This is stuff that you can bring back to your home and say, hey, who is my emergency manager? Talk to Tim. I used to run that emergency management program, so he needs to know that you guys are out there and need some help. Who's their EC? No, in Clinton. Dave.
Dave Eco?
Yes.
Dave Eco.
Dave Eco. Look him up because he needs help. He's only one guy right now. All right. Just like the state of Illinois, just like everybody, we all have a mission statement. We summarize ours best. We're the Walmart for your disaster. So in Madison County, in the region of EMA Region 8, which is 11 counties from Greene County all the way down to Monroe County, out to Clinton County, we're in Region 8, to the STARS region, so St. Louis guys, That is the St. Louis Area Regional Response System. There are 5 counties in the city of St. Louis that make up the STARS region. I'm sorry, 8. 5 on the Missouri side, 3 on the Illinois side. So we have common resources. We have a common goal. Right now, we're actually supporting the NHL All-Star Weekend. We've got resources over there in the city for that. To the state of Illinois, Madison County, we'll get into it. We have one of 13 unified command posts. So a mobile command post in the state of Illinois that was funded through ILEAS, through the Illinois Terrorism Task Force. We have one of those in the region. So yeah, we are Madison County Emergency Management, but you could and will see our stuff in other counties. Our team, so right now we are a 2-person shop, 2-person full-time shop. Myself as director, Mary Kate Brown is our deputy director, and then the 2 underneath that are 2 captains or volunteers, Stephen Bartlett and Derek Mormino. We have our Bureau of Operations, 32-member team, volunteer team, that utilize for resource deployment, damage assessment, communications. We get together on a regular basis. I refer to it as we are kind of like a volunteer fire department. We get together on a monthly basis. We do training in our office, third Thursday of the month. And then our biggest thing that we do is resource deployment. I'm going to show you all of our resources that we do deploy, but our most active right now is that unified command post. That command post can be called from anywhere in the state of Illinois. Well, I shouldn't say that, anywhere in the nation, because when we first got that command post in Madison County, its first deployment was to Katrina. So that's the stuff that we had. Oh man, that was funny. Bureau of
Casio. Non-standard. Non-standard.
Non-secular. 10-person team in Madison County, includes public service and AUXCOM. Bill Springer from ILEAS is going to talk about AUXCOM later this afternoon. 2 o'clock.
I think the room next door, one of these.
Next door.
Be there, be square.
Yep. So that team and John Nell and Bob Evans are a part of that team. Deploy our communications assets. We'll get into that stuff. We also train on a regular basis. 7 of those 10 team members are a part of our Bureau of Operations too. You can be a part of any of that stuff, or you can only be a part of one of them if you want. We'll get into how, if anybody lives in Madison County, if you want to be a part of that, we'll get into that later. So, we talked about the state EOC, right? That EOC can be called up at any time of day, just like any EOC, any emergency operations center, right? They all have levels of activation. So we go backwards, 3, 2, and 1 in Madison County, because we like to go backwards. Lowest level, so when we get intel from the field, that can be from you guys, right? You guys are talking a lot. We're gathering intel from you guys. It's hopefully getting passed to Bob in Madison County, or whoever your county Aries EC is, or EC. He's then going to operate or pass that message on to us. We will then determine where we need to go from there. We are not going to activate our EOC and stand up everybody and call everybody in and then find out we don't need to do anything, right? From there, we can go up to a level 2, resource management stuff. So are we deploying any of our resources, or are we requesting any resources? From there, we would build up to a level 1. For us in Madison County, our level 1 is most likely going to be a large-scale tornado, or the earthquake, as I'm going to call it, the earthquake, because that's going to happen at some point in time. We don't activate on a regular basis. I'll throw this in for perspective. I've been with Madison County for over 3 years now, coming up on 4, and we have not activated our EOC one time since I've been here. Yeah, we had last year, we had a federally funded, federally declared disaster in our spring flood. But for us, remember, go back to the IEMA slides, we are that manager, right? All of us have one of these, right? I can do a lot of managing from my couch. I'm going to talk about, real briefly, I want to talk about the disaster declaration process. This is the same no matter where you're at in the country. And the reason I want to bring this up to you guys, and the reason I put this into my presentation is this is the education part of things. We need to do a better job of educating the public that FEMA, once you have a flood, tornado, disaster, earthquake, FEMA's not coming. They don't show up. That FEMA is not response, right? They're going to help us. They're going to guide us. They're going to hopefully give us some money at the end of the day. That's not normally the case. So bear with me, a little bit of education, and then we'll talk about some toys that we have. First sentence here is the key. All disasters begin and end on the local level. When EMA, ILEAS, MAVIS, state assets leave, when the county EMA leaves, when FEMA leaves, and your house has been destroyed by a tornado, you still have to rebuild your house or go somewhere. So that's that beginning and end on the local level, right? What we ask all of our jurisdictions is, once you have utilized all of your resources, then you call us. That's when we will then give you all of our stuff that we think you may need or could need. From there, once we exhaust all of our stuff, then we go up to the state level. Once the state exhausts all of their stuff, then they go state to state through an EMAC, Emergency Management Assistance Compact, EMAC request. And that's where you'll see from a lot of hurricanes, you see it a lot, wildfires in California. We do state to state mutual aid through those EMAC requests. So you could see the Illinois Task Force 1, based out of Chicago, going down to help Florida for a hurricane. You might have seen some, what was the last hurricane? Where did they go? Was that Florida?
Florida, and then there was the Carolinas.
And then Carolina.
And all rain.
Puerto Rico.
And Puerto Rico. Yep.
And that's all tornadoes.
State to state. Yep. Yep. So there's a website that the states log into, and they put in their request into the EMAC process. And then states log in and see that, and they bid, because the state's going to pay that other state, right? So a state bid, if I'm talking about that right, you guys said EOC, SEOC, they bid on that process. And let's say the state of Illinois wins that bid, then we send all our troops that we said we were going to send down. Declared disaster. So county declared disaster means we're going to provide resources to that stricken jurisdiction. Illinois, or governor declared disasters, means that the state of Illinois is going to send resources. We're not to this yet. We're just to resources. Once we have a presidentially declared or federally declared disaster, that's when potentially money could kick in. We still have to hit thresholds. So in Madison County, this is the same in the state of Illinois. I apologize, I don't know what Missouri's are. The impact indicator is $3.78 per person for the county. You take our population, multiply it by that. In Madison County, we have to have over $1 million of uninsured loss. So just because your house was toppled or the whole subdivision was toppled from that tornado, your house is insured, it's gotta be. That doesn't count to us. What counts for us is government facilities, because in Madison County we are self-insured. So if our EOC gets wiped out, please, I'd love to have a new one. If it gets wiped out, that counts. If our parks get damaged, if our water systems get impacted, talk about flooding. And I'm talking water like wastewater, sewer water systems get impacted. That stuff all counts towards that uninsured loss.
What about commercial properties?
They are privately funded. So if Ameren's system gets impacted, that doesn't count. Yep. State of Illinois. This number right here, $1.50. That's the same whole country. $1.50 towards the population. So in the state of Illinois, before we can ask the president to declare a federally declared disaster, we have to reach 19 million of uninsured loss. For those that are familiar or remember the flooding from winter of 15 into 16, we did not hit 19 million in the state of Illinois. We had more damage in Madison County in 15-16 than we did last year, number-wise, okay? The spring flooding of 19 started in the top of Illinois, in Joe Davies County, and ran all the way down to Cairo, right? Also through the Illinois River. We hit that 19 million. I don't remember what our final number was, but it was upwards of 60, I believe, through the state of Illinois. That's why we then got that presidentially declared disaster. For public assistance. Individual assistance, we did not hit. Individual assistance is for residents. That's the money that's going to help you rebuild your home. That's a whole other ball of wax. Whoa, 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 whoa. Not touching him.
Presentation over.
Thanks for coming.
A lot of great information. Back up one slide.
Yeah.
I had one, I remember one time when my foot in that title was running really weird.
I was just wondering.
So,
Yeah.
they're clicking my slides for me, so, stop. I pulled it on the line. You know what, Tony,
All
I'll
right.
pull that USB out of there and be done with it.
Yeah.
All right.
I think your button's stuck.
Got a new clicker, Ken, right?
RFI,
Or interference.
space bar,
There you go, it's coming up.
Okay.
space bar.
This is me. This is me. We discussed this. Boy, that's weird how formatting on different computers messes with stuff. I just checked this morning, everything was clean. It drives me nuts. My OCD's kicking in. Preliminary damage assessment. So this is where you guys can come in Madison County and help us out. So let's start large-scale disaster. We can rely on ham radio operators, auxiliary communications, to gather intel for us, right? You guys are sitting in your neighborhoods, sitting in your home or in your vehicle, driving around, gathering intel, passing that along to us as Madison County EMA, who in turn is getting it to emergency management decision makers to determine if we have a county disaster or not, right? That's where you guys can definitely come in and help us. This is the form that has to be filled out from the state of Illinois, okay? So, we talked about uninsured loss. Category A, debris removal. So, we can get reimbursed for picking up, okay? Emergency protective measures, that covers overtime. So, tornadoes don't pick Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. They're picking Christmas Eve. They're picking whatever time. Emergency protective measures, overtime. Road and bridge systems, water control facilities, buildings and equipment, utility systems. All of that stuff government owned, like we talked earlier, Ameren doesn't count into utility systems. Government owned, government funded. And the parks and recreation, same thing. Swimming pools, your tennis courts, all that stuff, government funded stuff is what we count to get to that uninsured number. Madison County 1 million, state of Illinois 19 million, right?
Who determines the cost? Do the accountants or?
So each there is FEMA has published scheduled equipment costs. So it tells us if we're operating a backhoe, It tells us how much that backhoe costs per hour. It tells us how much that operator costs per hour.
Regardless of region?
Yep. So that way it's fair
The
across.
same across the whole country?
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
And for amateur radio volunteers, you are actually valued as an asset.
Yep.
You know, you're not getting paid, you're worth X amount per hour, which actually goes in toward the total of the overall recovery.
Goes to our
Okay.
cost. Yep.
Which
Yep.
is actually helps the local communities
Big
offset,
time. Big
offset their,
So,
what they've got to pay.
who's familiar with an ICS 214? We'll get into that, right? ICS 214, your activity log. If you don't have them, please have them in your radio station. Because as soon as you start working for us, I need that documentation, okay? That I started operating on this date at this time.
What form?
ICS 214, 214.
Is that a state form or federal?
Federal. Yep, yep. There are fillable ones. If you Google ICS 214 or FEMA forms, there's fillable ones. You can do it on your laptop sitting right next to you. Old pen and paper works great too. We will collect those because, like we talked about, that goes towards our money in Madison County Waterways, State of Illinois 19. Real quickly for us, this is public service communicatio. we deal through email leads, which is law enforcement
Law enforcement, something data system.
data systems. Yeah,
It's like SCAMOD, it's the way it's given. You remember the
state, county, municipal offender
data system, yeah.
Blues Brothers.
There you go.
Our team is activated through an app called Active 911. That's how we are alerted for response capabilities. And then obviously in the state of Illinois, we have what we call STARCOM, which is our digital system, 700, 800 system. Auxiliary communication. Communica. What we talked about earlier, gathering intel for us. Starting on that 214, keep your activity log, gather that intel for us. Pass it along to your EC. Pass it along to somebody if you don't know who your EC is. Get it to somebody, some way to get it to your county EMA, no matter where you are in the country. Gather that intel for us. And then, and Bob can speak a little bit on this if he wants to, but for us in Madison County, we talk about passing along 911 messages.
Yes.
But
You can do 911, we also gather intel, but basically 911, you can actually Google a couple of good videos on that. I will say do not put water in a gasoline container because there's a 911 video where somebody's done that. They drank water in a gasoline container.
nice.
But yeah, basically it's up in high visibility areas. We've actually discussed this in a couple of our areas meetings. If you are in Madison County, by the way, get a card, stop at our table. We have a meeting on the 22nd at 9 a.m. at the EMA. We'll discuss this more then.
22nd of February.
Right.
He said May.
Did you say February?
That's it.
Okay.
22nd.
Sorry.
That's fine.
We'll get into what we have. Yes, this is what Madison County has. I can't say owns because we don't own 99% of our stuff. It's all federally funded. We house it. Now it's going to go automatically.
Get your automatic stuff set on.
All right. Unified Command Post. Multi-tier communications. STARCOM, UHF, VHF, air, marine, and auxiliary communications. Bob's got pictures on his board out there at his table of the inside of our command post where we operate. We do multiple statewide exercises. Obviously with the state through Alias, Bill runs a lot of those. Another one coming up the end of October.
End of September, 21st and 25th.
Prairie Assurance.
Yeah. That's a guard exercise that we got invited in.
And then large plot printing capability. So we have a 36? Yeah, 36-inch plotter printer that we can print overhead maps through GIS. If you ever are in Madison County, this is in Edwardsville, call me, I'll take you through it, happy to show it all.
The HF capability too, all our units have HF.
HF, yes. Yep, so HF and VHF on that ham radio side of things. Anything I missed from that? So Rush Gentry and Bill Springer from Elias, they are the ones that funded this project. They continue to fund the project for all 13, right? 13 in the state.
The reason the HF is so important though, is we're always leaning, and a lot of Bill's statewide exercises lean towards what if we lose that infrastructure, that STARCOM infrastructure. As you know, we only have, you guys deal in HF, long distance communications without infrastructure all the time. The state of Illinois, we have STARCOM 21, which gives us our long distance communications, but we rely on HF, which Bill's heavily involved in, to give us that long distance communications not only with other entities, but also with the National Guard, and all of our 22 units, both UCPs and ITEX trailers, all have DHF capability. So it's a monster to try to continue to coordinate it, but it's very important that we continue to try to get it in place.
That's phone and women, both voice and women, both and all are available.
Anything else on that? Anybody have any questions about our command post? That's our biggest communications asset that we have. We recently started an incident rehabilitation services. Our volunteer team, our Bureau of Operations team, on scene, typically on fire scenes, will provide this to our local agencies: hydration, nutrition, shelter, heating and cooling. Just another way that we have found a way to help out our local agencies. Mass casualty, hopefully the trailer we never have to see. Edwardsville Fire Department deploys this for us. Onboard oxygen, sea collars. Weird. It does have an onboard generator, so it is a BLS, basic life support system trailer. So big time disaster. We're actually getting ready to test this trailer in the end of April in Edwardsville. Sandbag machine. Fun times. So this machine, 25 to 30 consistent bags per minute. It is self-sustaining, meaning it doesn't need anything additional outside of sand and bags to put in it. It staples them for you. So big hopper, you get a front end loader, build the hopper, comes out the chute, goes down the conveyor belt, there's a stapler sitting right there. Set this guy right here, hydraulic, throws a staple. If you get trained guys operating 20 people, I shouldn't say just guys, 25 to 30 consistent bags per minute. Got a heck of a workout this past year. You're going to get a heck of a workout again this year. It's actually back at the manufacturer right now as we're speaking in Lenexa, Kansas, getting maintained. HVAC, 3 cooling units, 5 heating units. So we can use this to pump into a nursing home, into another EOC if we had to, our EOC. We recently used it to support City of Alton Public Works this past summer. Their HVAC failed. It is a 2-story building in Alton, and that upstairs offices were a little warm. So they asked us to bring that out. We're always, do we want to do that? No, because it's not really an emergency, but it's a way for us to test our equipment, make sure it's running, make sure our guys know how to operate it. Generators, 5 Blue Star 65 and 1 Baldor 45 kW. Those have to go with that HVAC trailer. That's what gets those up and running. Utility trailer, just that. Bunch of stuff in it. Generators, volunteer reception center equipment. Anything you think of, we threw it in that trailer. Pet trailer. Multi-size crates, leashes, dog bowls. What? Cooling fans, does have an onboard generator as well. It's got an awning on the side of it. So we talked about that tornado. Yeah, we're worried about people, but what else is out running around? Because they don't know where to go or what happened. Dogs and cats, right? We'll work with our county animal control and with our nonprofit animal shelter, the animal rescue crews. That's fancy. MEOC, Mobile Emergency Operations Center trailer, 600 square foot inflatable tent. Multiple uses there, right? Anywhere from first aid, triage, forward command. We could set it up as a communication center. It has that come on. Right. You can see on the outside here, these flaps, we can plug in our HVAC trailer into that so we can heat it, we can cool it. It can be self-sustaining through that. It has the ability, like I said, it is inflatable. It comes with a very small, surprisingly, very small compressor. But the cool thing about it, though, is if we don't have power, we can grab a fire department and air it up with 4 of their air packs. Would air up that tank.
Go about Scott tanks. Four
Yep.
Scott airpack tanks.
Yeah, Scott or MSA,
Yeah, well,
whatever brand.
I'm just,
Yep.
you'd think that it would
Be more than that.
more, yeah.
Yep.
That's why I had to clarify that.
Yep.
Think about the
It's only
high pressure
inflating-
tank cell.
Yeah.
It's only inflating those
Yep. So these
things.
black ribs
Yeah,
are the only parts that are inflatable.
yeah.
Okay, that's
Yep.
impressive.
And I think this is the last one. This is our shelter trailer. So it's got cots in it. So obviously we're going somewhere to set up a shelter. We're going to a school, to a gymnasium. We're setting up a shelter. Obviously we're going to bring our HVAC trailer with us, most likely, if we're into that aspect. In that shelter, that either be it that volunteer reception center or be it a shelter that we're managing through the Red Cross, that's another way that we can call upon you guys to help us out and to assist us. We can put you guys in that shelter, give us status reports back to the EOC. That's in our mission, right, Bob? Okay. Those that live in Madison County, or if you're 60 miles from Wood River, I don't care where you live, 60 miles from Wood River, be happy to have you on our team. Talk to Bob, talk to John. Larry Miller is at our CERT table over there towards Education Alley. He's got that. Who else is here?
I think that's it. Well, I saw.
He said Nick Cleveland was.
Nick Cleveland was.
So he's just running around. So
He may have-
talk to Bob. Bob's got the Madison County Areas table right here behind where they're taking tickets and all that stuff. So if you're interested, we would love to have you. That is one of our goals, is to build that team. Right now we're only at 10. That's not going to do a lot for us once we get into that big disaster, right?
Right.
If you're not a part of your EMA program, if you need help identifying who is your EMA, I will gladly help. That is only a resource that we need to get involved, you guys need to get involved with. It's only going to help your community, it's going to help your neighbor, it's going to help you. That's why we're here today. We're here to learn, we're here to train, we're here to get better, right? Questions, comments, concerns?